Good afternoon, good morning. This is Mark Johnson, the CEO of Loyalty 360. Welcoming everyone back to another episode of our Leaders in Customer Loyalty series. In this series, we talk to leading brands about what they're seeing and hearing on the front lines of customer channel and brand loyalty. We try to put a focus on those who are creating unique engagement experiences and driving relevant customer experience, but most importantly, customer loyalty. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Malachi Bennett, who is the loyalty manager for Shell Retail North America, and to Fergie Theriault, the general manager of marketing for Shell Retail North America. Thank you both for taking the time to talk with us today. How are you?
Wonderful. Doing great. Thanks, Mark.
Can you give us a quick overview of the Fuel Rewards program, how the program works, how long you've had it, some recent changes, improvements to the program?
Sounds good. Malachi, you going to jump on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, we could start, Mark, if that's all right, with just a sort of simple overview of the program and how it works, and we can take it from there.
Right.
So the Fuel Rewards program is a national loyalty program that really at its core is all about helping members easily lower the cost of everyday life by paying less for fuel, right? Fuel Rewards members can engage or shop at Shell. They can dine at a number of restaurants in the program. They can engage with a number of merchants and key retailers we have in the program, all around earning cents per gallon savings, which is the currency of the program. So how it works, simply go to fuelrewards.com or download the Fuel Rewards app and join the program. As part of joining the program, you can request either a Fuel Rewards loyalty card, so just a plastic card with a mag stripe on the back, or you can create an alt ID, which is typically a phone number with a few digit PIN code after that, or you can link a form of payment, and then simply from there, go visit a Shell station, swipe that loyalty plastic card, or enter your alt ID or your linked form of payment. And at that point, the price of fuel will roll back to whatever your savings are at the time, and it will do it real time. And we've come to realize that our customers really enjoy that instant gratification of seeing the price roll back real time. It's sort of that aha moment. So the program is, in essence, as simple as that.
Absolutely. And you have one of the kind of longest standing fuel reward programs in the market, correct? You were kind of one of the forefathers, you'd use as a term of the industry, correct?
Yeah, I think that's right. That's our understanding. I mean, we got started in about 2012 with the program.
Okay, that's great. So can you tell us a little bit how you kind of earn accrue points for the program and kind of how the partner network works as well?
Sure, happy to. I think one of the biggest things we launched recently, so we've been in market since 2012, but around summer of 2017, we really made a significant enhancement to the program, which was just all driven by, over the years, us learning and adapting and evolving and listening to our customers, right? We felt strongly that we needed to bring more value to our members, right? And that led to a pretty significant change in the base offer in the program. So at that point in 2017, we launched 2 tiers into the program, a silver status and a gold status. Silver status is 3 cents per gallon savings on every transaction, and gold status is 5 cents per gallon on every transaction. You fall into gold or silver based on how frequently you come to Shell. But from that point going forward, in essence, the vision was Fuel Rewards members never pay full price for fuel. So they're either in one of those categories. They are always saving at least 3 or 5 cents through the program. So that's kind of the base offer that we launched in 2017, but that's complemented by a number of merchants and partners that we work with in the program. Restaurants is a big one. We have a number of local restaurants that we work with where if you go into the restaurant and spend money, I think most of the offers, they vary, but most of them are around spend $50 with the restaurant and earn 5 cents or 10 cents. And that is then combinable with the base offers that we just talked about. So beyond restaurants, we have an online mall that you can shop and earn rewards. We also work with a number of key partners out there. T-Mobile comes to mind. We participate with them on just a really awesome program they have around T-Mobile Tuesdays. So weekly you can go into T-Mobile Tuesdays and you can earn a Shell reward that is then combinable with everything in the Fuel Rewards program. We also work with the likes of Dunkin' brands as well. We've got a great partnership with them, and we do some things with other retailers out there like Home Depot and stuff. But all in essence, it revolves around helping consumers earn additional savings for things that they do in their everyday lives.
Okay, great. Can you tell us a little about the StateEscape program, how that idea came into being and kind of what you're seeing with that program?
Sure, Mark, maybe I'll grab that one. And really, obviously this pandemic has really shifted the way consumers behave, right? So you think we just came off March break this year when the country was really shut down. And, more than 67% of Americans are saying, due to COVID, they're staying home. But now, more than half are starting to want to take an escape, but they don't want to get on a flight, either domestic or international for that matter, due to fears of COVID and the stress that comes with travel during a time like this. But they want adventure and they want fun away.
Right.
So one of the things we've done is try to find, encourage travelers to have a StateEscape. So providing the travel resources, trip planning, Spotify playlists, safety tips, etc., encouraging Americans to take a StateEscape. And, with more gas stations than any competitor across more than 50 states, and in conjunction with our fuel rewards program, as well as, having in-store offers for snacks and other essentials, we feel like we're in a great position to offer these consumers great travel options within their own state or close to home where they can drive, and we can enable their trip through a number of services in our programs to help them both save money and plan a great vacation for their family.
What are your goals for the Fuel Rewards program going forward, and how do you measure and define success?
So I would say that if you look at our most engaged consumers, that has come back much faster than other parts of the business.
Okay.
I'd say in general, America's consumers are traveling less. I think the one benefit today, for example, with StateEscapes, are people are driving more to vacations. So when COVID hit and they really shut down various parts of the country in different fashions, driving fell off a cliff, right? The number of miles driven were down considerably. That's come back maybe to about 90% of what it used to be. And I think that is being helped by people driving in these situations. But undoubtedly, people working from home has shifted purchase patterns, right? So typically where they bought gas previously, maybe closer to their office or on their commute to work, or buying more locally in given areas. So while miles driven is starting to bounce back, I still think we've got a long way to go. The benefit of having, the loyalty program and being able to have specific offers for these customers, having engagements with them over the last several years, allows us to give them, pertinent offers to help them, get back on the road and welcome them back into Shell stations around the country.
That's awesome. And what are your goals for the Fuel Rewards loyalty program going forward? And how are you looking at defining success, obviously with some of the changes you see in your audience and even their purchase behavior, engagement behavior? How do you see Fuel Rewards going forward?
Yeah, Fergie, maybe I'll jump in on that
Sure,
one.
Malachi.
I would say our ultimate goal with the Fuel Rewards program is really to provide our customers with the best loyalty program in the industry. And our vision or strategy to help deliver on that promise is really to try to integrate all the different customer touch points and how they would engage with Shell, whether that's fuel, whether that's inside the store, inside the convenience store, whether that's some of our payment products, that needs to all be seamless and be integrated from a loyalty perspective. And consumers need to be rewarded for that. That's our overall sort of goal and how we plan to achieve that. We really sort of look at success or define success around loyalty penetration, right? And we define that as the percentage of volume that we see at Shell that comes from our loyalty members, right? And so that's sort of the key metric. We have a number of metrics that we look at, but that's sort of the key one for us. And the reason is, like any loyalty program, those members are more valuable to us. So they should be rewarded for that. And we should encourage and go after and try to have more folks into the loyalty program and give them a reason to transact and engage with Shell.
Okay, great.
Yeah, maybe if I just follow on that for a second, Mark. Earlier you mentioned, right, making changes to the program and improvements. I think it's really important. One of the things with the journey of Fuel Rewards is it's continuing to learn, right? Continuing to learn about our customers and keeping it fresh, either fresh with partners, fresh with our offers to consumers, and fresh ideas. So, I think that's where the key is to keeping them engaged, right? I think there's a lot of fatigue in this space now because everybody has their program. So how do you keep them engaged on a regular basis? How do you keep it exciting, and how do you drive that willingness to participate?
Yeah, there is a lot of fatigue to it. I think one of the things that's unique is there's a more ready. I think brands are more readily open to discuss amongst one another, and we see that within our community. That fuel wants to talk to retail, retail wants to talk to restaurants, restaurants want to talk to entertainment about what's working, what's not working. You know, all the changes. You know, Apple changing their privacy standards here recently. You know, Google getting rid of cookies by 2022. I think loyalty has a great opportunity, especially with the openness and kind of the engagement we're seeing, to truly be kind of the fulcrum for which brands can leverage going forward, right? So I think it's hopefully kind of a great new hope or you know, opportunity for those who have loyalty programs to truly continue to work to increase the efficacy of them.
Indeed, yes.
Customer loyalty, obviously very important to organizations, brands, especially in retail, convenience C-store. You know, can you define that for us? We always like to hear how brands define customer loyalty.
Yep. Fergie, you want me to take
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I think both of us can jump in. I'll let you make some comments for sure.
Yeah, for us, I mean, it's certainly been a journey when we think about customer loyalty. I think we started out very transactional.
Yeah.
You know, let's simply give consumers an incentive to come to Shell, and that was kind of the gist of it. But we've evolved there, and we try to look at the customer holistically. Of course, we need to have value and a reason from a transactional perspective to engage with us. That's sort of the table stakes. But we've evolved even into the emotional aspect, which you may not have expected from a fuel provider, a fuel retailer. We recently launched a best customer strategy. It's called Gold Plus. It's our it's an invite only tier, if you will, but it's really designed to get into that emotional aspect of our customer. And we did things that you may not have expected from a fuel brand, like a VIP trip to Jazz Fest or the CMA Fest in Nashville. And then we did things like a VIP trip to Indy 500. So we've really tried to run the gamut of looking at the consumer holistically, both from a transactional perspective, but also getting into that emotional side and the experiential side of consumers. So we're trying to, again, always evolving and always adapting and learning based on consumer feedback, but we're trying to look at them holistically and engage with them in multiple ways.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think, Malachi, the importance there is that, you know, continuing to learn and being able to really personalize those offers to the individuals. The more we learn about them, the more feedback we get, and really kind of testing and learning from the resilience of our offers. And, you know, Malachi mentioned a number of unique properties that give people experiences they normally wouldn't have an opportunity to do, right? And additionally, you know, this year, COVID has certainly thrown a wrench into some of those things. We don't have those properties available to, you know, celebrate these consumers and show appreciation for their loyalty and commitment to our brand. So, you know, we did sofa sets, which was an online concert that was for Gold Plus members, et cetera. So, you know, trying to find different ways to engage in this new environment has been really unique. So I think just for me, it's the continued learning.
That's awesome. So you talked a little bit about personalization. Obviously, personalization is very important. You talked about the emotional piece as well. So, you know, personalization, how is your brand working, or how is Shell working to increase the efficacy of those efforts, right? Is it getting more zero-party data? Is it creating these StateEscapes or these sofa sets, or, you know, doing voice of the customer opportunities with your clients? How are you increasing your personalization efforts?
So I think, you know, through a number of means, and you listed a number there, right? So, you know, increasing ways to find engagement with them, having voice of the customer, right? And continuing to measure our offers and uptake on those offers, right? Whether it's from ourselves or whether it's from one of our branded partners. And, you know, having that kind of continuous improvement mindset there. I would say that we're at the early stages of, you know, using that deep level data analytics to get, you know, personal to, for example, you, Mark. That is a desired state, but we've got a ways to go in that space. I think everybody is looking, you know, at data as the new crude oil, if you will, in many respects, right? Or data is the new leverage. And I think we're at the beginning of that journey, to be completely honest, but it's something that we've got keen line of sight on, and are building those capabilities within our organization.
Malachi, you have any thoughts on kind of your personalization efforts?
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly echo what Fergie just shared there. I mean, we certainly have a robust CRM program, right? And we have segmentation in different segments, right? And that's been very effective for us in starting, as Fergie alluded to, that journey around the one-to-one personalization and developing that. But I think the key for us is how do we take that beyond just traditional segmentation, which is working for us, right? But we need to go beyond that and get more down into the one-to-one and create that value for that individual person. So agree with Fergie. It's a journey, but we've got a good foundation in place today on some of the things we're doing around CRM.
Excellent. And how big is your kind of customer loyalty team? How many people do you have working at it kind of from a holistic perspective?
So I think I wouldn't just put an exact number on it, but in conjunction with what we have at Shell, I would say as part of my marketing group, probably 25% of my employee count. And it's one where I'm going to continue to invest resources for the future. So you've got the different people managing, CRM campaigns, the folks managing our partner relationships, our business development people, as well as business development people from our partners. Where we've had the most success in partnerships, it's when we're very close, whether, for example, T-Mobile or Dunkin' for that matter, our teams are linked up and working together day to day. So I think, we become extensions of each other's teams.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Personalization, as I mentioned earlier, is something that's very important to our audience. We have a number of fuels and a number of 100 some brands, our members, and that's really what they want to do is find the partnerships that work, that are synergistic. Mm-hmm. And they're not just a one-way push, right? Where you're not giving points to one brand and there's not some reciprocity or kind of a reciprocal value exchange. So it sounds like you guys are doing that in a very prudent manner, which is great.
Yes, indeed.
So you talked a little bit about emotional loyalty. We're actually kind of working on our first industry paper right now on emotional loyalty. Mm-hmm. We have a meeting this afternoon, about 15 brands to talk about it, and we had one last week as well. What does emotional loyalty mean to you? What are some of the challenges that you guys are having, or maybe the opportunities? Sounds like you guys have kind of an approach already going forward, should I say, with regard to emotional loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for us, it's a new space. I think the challenge, the leadership team put on to us was how do we just go beyond the transactional nature of fuel, right? So I don't know that we have a concrete definition of what emotional loyalty test means. It's evolving each time we think we have it. We test something that resonates with consumers and we start to evolve a bit. So for us, the challenge is really go beyond just what most consumers would expect of an oil company or a fuel retailer, which is very transactional in nature. So we just started to scratch the surface here, but each time we launch an event, and of course we've had to get creative with COVID, as Fergie mentioned, we are blown away. Our expectations are from the customer engagement back to us. So there really was a void that we were able to fill, we feel, with our customers. I think a lot of it is just they weren't expecting Shell or a fuel retailer to tap into the emotional side and reward them for their behavior back to us beyond just offers with experiential things. So we really just started to scratch the surface there. We're learning as much as we can in the marketplace and from our customers, quite frankly. But we're really excited about the initial results. I mean, it's sort of completely surpassed our expectations there.
That's awesome. Okay. Great. Fergie, any feedback on kind of the emotional piece?
Well, I think from my perspective, there's as Malachi shared from loyalty, it's how does our overall marketing strategy, branding, communications, et cetera, become that feel, right? I think you spend, you mentioned all the different brands, all the different, fuel retailers, right? And we're all fighting for technical specifications around gasoline, right? I mean, there's no doubt we're premium grade gasoline, but does that resonate with consumers more so than the welcome back? How are we dealing with COVID within our sites? Welcome back to the road. Here's our offers, but all of our brand and communications have to, come and have that feel and more of an emotional space than we've been in the past. You'll see that coming in our future campaigns later this year. So beyond just the fuel, so snack up, fuel up, save up, as well as, more brand love type advertising coming in 2021.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you look at some of the challenges and opportunities around data, analytics, creating insight, obviously there's more data. People are trying to get to more zero-party data, right? Surveys that allow you to enhance personalization efforts. How are you looking at kind of those opportunities? And are there challenges that you're facing now? Maybe integration in the point of sales, or working with a partner network to get the most PII data you can have. And what are some of the challenges you have with kind of the growing data sets that you have?
Yeah, so a couple of things there. One is the technical challenges of collecting and warehousing that data, right, in a very secure fashion. Certainly with data privacy laws, you have to be very cognizant of that. And with our systems and our point of sale systems and the number of transactions we do in a day, we have a monstrous amount of data, right? And it's making all those systems talk together and work, right? There's legacy POS systems across our network as similar to our competitors. And all of those, various systems have to work together to bring it into one place. The second thing I would say that where so that's challenging from a technical standpoint. The other is the competency development internally around the data analytics and creation of insights and artificial intelligence, which we were at the beginning of those journeys, I would say, in many respects, in terms of taking those insights and turning them into actions on a regular basis. And the competency goes beyond that of just the marketing department. It's how do you take those insights and arm your sales force and arm our wholesalers and arm, those folks on the front line, so that they're talking about relevant things and they know what to do with the data. I think that that's probably the biggest challenge we have, is making sure that folks within Shell and within our teams have the ability to analyze the data and know what to do with it. Because it is a mind shift from where major oil companies have been historically.
Absolutely. And getting people on the front lines informed as well, just with regard to the importance of customer loyalty, customer experience. That seems to be, because those people can have kind of transitory roles, correct? I mean, some people may be longer standing, but you could have people transitioning in and out of that role quite often.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. A couple more questions real quick. What do you think the next big thing is for customer loyalty, customer experience?
Gotcha. You want to have a go at that, Malachi?
I mean, to quote Tim from earlier, your guess is no, but for us, we continually focus on two sort of high level buckets. One is value, not only bring, but our partners can bring through the program. And the other is how do we simplify the customer experience, right? And we, of course, don't know what the answer is, but it likely lies within those, or perhaps even some of the emotional stuff that we talked about earlier. And obviously data and all that plays into it, right? But we feel strongly about our focus in those two areas, particularly around solving customer pain points. I mean, people come to the fuel stations all the time. They tweak so recently on just how to simplify that and help people get in, have a very good experience, but quickly and get out and get on their way. No one wants to spend a ton of time at a fuel pump, right? So we are constantly looking at ways to evolve that. So we think the next big thing for us in that space is continuing to simplify that customer experience when they're engaging with us and bringing them value along with that. Fergie, I don't know if you have any initial thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think loyalty really is limitless, right? I think that the biggest change coming from my perspective would be where folks leading marketing organizations spend their money. Here you have data you can track, you can see how consumers respond to your offers, et cetera. So how much of your kind of above the line budgets, streaming media budgets, social media budgets, et cetera, or even just traditional media, how much of that do you continue to spend versus how much of that maybe do you redirect and invest in your loyalty and your most valuable customers in many respects? I think that for me is the biggest shift is where we spend those monies, and how do you continue to create that loyalty with strong rewards and offers for those people that are really the core of your volume, if you will.
That's awesome. And the second last question we have, how do you look at other competitors? What do you like to kind of learn or kind of follow? Do you follow kind of programs outside of, kind of the fuel C-store, and kind of what are some things that you're seeing that others may be doing, or what would you like to, learn from some of the competitors in the market?
Yeah, I think I'll let you jump in next, Malachi. I think I would tell you that my home screen on my phone has probably every darn app that you could possibly have on it. Whenever I see them, I download and try them and play with them, obviously, which, means my cell phone, or, I'm always getting blown up, or I'm running out of space. But for me, it's just learning and seeing how they make the consumer experience so seamless. To me, that is the table stakes now going forward. The consumer wants it to work. They want it to be painless. They don't want the little glitches and, having to continue to enter information. So the more seamless you can make signing up, linking the offers, and use at the site, to me is most important.
That's awesome. And kind of last question I always like to ask, what can we do as a trade association from the industry? We've definitely grown our membership base. We have a kind of a growing community. We're doing more research. We have our first analyst paper or similar Forrester Gardner coming out. But what can we do to help you with your customer loyalty efforts?
Yeah, I actually think it's similar to the question you just asked before, in terms of we do a ton of research all around trying to get feedback so that we can improve, right? We never want to stand still. And I think that's how we look at sort of external research, is really, what could we do differently? What are we not seeing today, or how can we be challenged to go and try and do things differently? That's where we've made a lot of our success, is try not to look at it as a fuel loyalty program. Just look at it as a loyalty program, right? So we look at a ton of programs, external. We actually work a lot with partners, so we're getting that feedback real time. Like, what is T-Mobile doing? What is Dunkin' doing? And that helps us all sort of go into the bucket or the blender, if you will, and come up with good creative ideas. So that's how we look at folks like yourself, is really just to challenge us to think differently than a fuel company or an oil company would.
Mm-hmm. I think you made the point too earlier, Mark, that it's having the partners work together, right? As opposed to just being at arm's length, or it's a push and one-sided. I think it's a behavior change that people need to kind of embrace to create those partnerships, to work together, as opposed to, a negotiation all the time. It's, I like a win-win as long as I win more. I mean, that's just not going to, fare well in the future, because the importance of being able to work together to see where you share similar customer sets or market segments is critical to getting even more relevant in the consumer's eyes, in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to thank both Malachi and Fergie for taking the time to speak with us today. It was great learning more about how Shell is driving customer loyalty, and we look forward to hearing more from both of you throughout 2020. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Great. I really appreciate the invite, and it's been great talking to you.